On Saturday, March 14th, 2026, the racing world lost a man whose life was the very definition of service. Billy Dean Hurt, 65, of Boonville, Missouri, passed away unexpectedly while responding to an on-track incident at Kennedale Speedway in Texas. Born in 1960, Billy dedicated 44 years to the fire service, beginning as a volunteer in Boonville before serving 25 years with the Columbia Fire Department, where he retired as a captain. He was a master of his craft, traveling Missouri to sell and service life-saving extrication equipment and training the next generation of first responders. For over 23 years, Billy was the steady hand and the friendly face of the safety at our nation's most iconic dirt tracks. From the World of Outlaws and the American Sprint Car Series to the high-stakes intensity of the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl Nationals, Billy was the expert others looked to when seconds mattered most. Now, also known off the track as a grill master who could feed 100 people and never met a stranger. Billy's true heart belonged to his life companion of 28 years, Karen, his 4 children, and his 8 beloved grandchildren. While we also send our strength to Jerry Myers as he recovers from the same accident, we pause to honor a hero who died protecting the sport he loved. Billy, on behalf of Switchin Grooves and the entire racing family, we thank you for your unwavering commitment to saving lives and helping keep the public as well as the racing community safe. We wish you Godspeed and may forever rest in peace. Now to our regular scheduled episode. So, the racing landscape underwent a massive transformation over the weekend. We saw the greatest show on dirt deliver a mix of breathtaking finishes and somber reflections in Texas, while High Limit Racing officially launched its 2026 campaign under the neon lights of Las Vegas. In the NASCAR world, the desert became a graveyard for winning streaks and proving ground for veterans as Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin reclaimed the spotlight in Phoenix and Sin City. With championship gaps closing and major disciplinary actions defining the off-track narrative, the 2026 season has entered a high-stakes phase of technical and personal accountability. I'm Russ Fritz.
And I'm Nathan Johns.
And we're telling you to strap in tight because this isn't just racing.
This is Switchin Grooves.
Before we get going, please join us for a brief moment of silence for Billy Dean Hurt. Thank you. So, welcome back to the show, everyone. Nathan, I'm glad you're sitting down because we have a massive block to get through today. The last week has been an absolute whirlwind of speed, drama, and I've got enough notes here to fill a technical manual. We're going from the Texas clay to the Vegas lights and straight into the Arizona sun.
And then some. I'm not going to lie, these mid-wake updates are absolutely insane, and they just get crazier every week.
Well, Nathan, I know you're ready, but it feels like we've lived through an entire season's worth of story arcs in just over a week. We've seen
Yes.
streaks broken, technical mastery in the desert, and some very heavy news coming out of the sprint car world. And per the request of the Switchin Grooves Nation, we're actually changing things up a bit today. We're
Ooh.
putting the mud on the tires first, starting with the dirt, specifically the World of Outlaws in the 2026 High Limit debut.
Well, let's hit
So
the lip and go.
let's dive into the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series first, Nathan, because David Gravel is currently a man possessed. He dominated 2025 to secure the second title of his career, and by this time last year, he actually had like 3 to 4 wins in the bag. But as for the start of this season, that just hasn't been the case. But this past weekend at Kennedale Speedway Park in Texas, he gave us a finish that people will be talking about for decades. In a literal Texas thriller, Gravel pulled off a spectacular pass in the final corner to beat Bill Balog to the stripe. It was a masterclass in timing and pure bravery, and it solidified why David is the defending series champion. But however, Nathan, we have to address the tragedy I mentioned in the memorial. Racing at Kennedale was halted on March 14th following the incident involving safety official Billy Hurt. It's a somber reminder of the risk taken by every person at the racetrack. Now, on a more technical note, though, fans actually got a huge upgrade on March 13th. Dirt Vision officially launched its new multi-view feature, which
Ooh.
actually allows us to watch multiple camera angles of one specific race or even concurrent races at the same time.
That's kind of cool.
It was pretty badass. I thought it was pretty cool. But it's
What was your take on it? I want to hear this because I haven't seen it yet.
Well, you could still hear the announcers calling the race, and you had 4 different camera angles in one screen, and it you could make it full screen, but you didn't miss a beat. You could watch this part of the pack or this part of the pack. Like, excuse me, but it wasn't just how people complain about the cameraman only following the leader or only following this person or this group, or you could see multiple things going on at one time while still hearing the announcer, calling all the race. It was just absolutely incredible. Now, I didn't try watching 2 different races at once, but
That'll be next week. Next week we'll try.
I can't watch High Limit on Dirt Vision, so
That's true. That's true.
But
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it for initial reaction?
oh, a 10, dude, absolutely a 10.
I just figured I'd try to get everybody's, everybody your opinion on that. I was curious.
I hope High Limit and Flow Racing follow suit.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool. Now, I wish the TVs would do what they used to do back in the day, where you could do picture-in-picture, where I could have
split screen, yeah.
Yeah, I wish they would do that, but with the streaming crap now, you can't really do that.
I know Flow does a lot of different sports, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that first. But that's still good for Dirt Vision.
But I'll tell you, man, this is a huge, huge step forward for how we actually consume the sport. So I'm excited to watch it again and give it another go and see if Flow can follow suit on that. But now we shift over to the 2026 season opener for High Limit Racing. With their new series sponsor after Kubota leaving, they bring in interstate batteries, something we haven't seen in dirt racing in a long time, if ever. I think we saw an interstate batteries car a couple of times, but I feel
like it would have been one of the like Christopher Bell or something.
I feel
like I did see one.
This is a huge direction a huge step in the right direction for dirt racing. I'm really excited about the sponsor. I don't care for the logo so much. I think they could have done a better job, but I've never really been a huge fan of High Limit's logo anyways.
No,
but it's just not my style.
I have an odd question. And
What's
maybe
that?
it's just because I don't know sprint cars, but do sprint cars even use batteries?
No, they do not.
How does that work? That's a weird sponsorship. I'm just having fun with it.
Nope. Well, they were. They do them in a race saver. That's about it.
But I mean, does Interstate Battery make AAA batteries for the race saver? I mean, that's. I feel like that's a weird opportunity there. Maybe it's just me. I'm just
Well,
being goofy with it.
but you never know. I mean, it is high limit racing. Not now. When it originally started, it was high limit sprint cars,
That's
but they
true.
changed it the second year to high limit racing. So maybe they'll add a late model series or something later on. You never know.
Watch Kyle Larson will
But
run both series. That'd be
they
kind of
kicked
funny. I won't lie.
they kicked off their campaign at the dirt track at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the Sugar Bee Blackjack Bash, and the hype was real. Corey Day, who you and I have called the most exciting young talent in the country here and there,
He needs to
really
stick to dirt.
really validated that on Friday. He avenged through a tough night earlier in the week to capture the preliminary victory in Vegas. It was a massive statement for his 2026 hopes.
Campaign.
Yeah, but um, what was it? Friday night, I believe he broke an axle and oh man, just he was doing real good too. But the Sunday finale, March 15th, actually belonged to a desert specialist, and that would be Aaron Reitzel. He put on a clinical, dominant display, and he took the lead and never looked back to secure a huge check and an early season momentum. Now, if people don't remember, last year at this race, Aaron Reitzel left in an ambulance with a broken nose from a dirt clod breaking through his helmet shield because he didn't run a rock screen. So now this
I
year
feel
he
like
comes
somebody
back.
else just had that too.
Yeah, I saw a post about someone else did
I
that
think
too.
Freddie Carpenter in the late models had a clod of dirt hit his helmet this year. I think it was just recently.
Man, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
But Corey Day actually finished P8 in that finale, which just shows that while he has the raw speed, the veteran presence in high limit is still a massive hurdle to clear. Reitzel's dominance sets a very high bar, and the series prepares to move into Arizona and Oklahoma next. So we'll see how he does out there. But
What about Friday? You. What about Corey
there
Day
was
coming
a
up that close? He almost had him. You just got to be quicker than that.
almost.
Almost.
So yeah, I kept mine kind of quick because I did the memorial, and we are running late tonight. Um, the app was
People.
updating,
If
so
people really want that much more, we can. Yeah, they can always tune in tomorrow. Also, I know that we're on YouTube and Facebook. If you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure you follow and subscribe. We love having new fans. We love having new people in our comment section asking new questions and just interacting with us. I think it's a lot of fun. I see
so
Chuck, just like that. Howdy, Chuck. Welcome for joining us tonight.
one of our most loyal fans.
It's good to have him here. It's good to have somebody interacting with us. It's fun.
So I'm gonna toss it over to you, Nathan. I kept mine short, sweet, and to the point, and I'm gonna toss it over to you, and we'll get into NASCAR.
Well, I have a few different updates this week. I have them out of order in my notes, but I'm gonna try to do them in semi order. Last week, Alex Bowman ended up missing the race at Las Vegas due to symptoms of vertigo, and I had to do my research on it because I wanted to make sure I was describing the right symptoms.
He's gonna miss this week, isn't he?
He's going to miss this. He missed last weekend, and he's going to miss the next three races. So he's going to miss Darlington. He's going to miss Martinsville and Bristol, which are the next three races at a minimum. He is still experiencing some sort of symptoms of vertigo, which when I read into it, it also sounds like symptoms you could also get from a concussion, and given his past injuries, it would not surprise me if it has something to do with those also. At least when I Googled vertigo, it says the room is spinning or uneven balance, could last a few seconds or a few days at a time. So it's definitely a scary thing. Currently, this basically puts an end to Alex Bowman's season. He is, I think, 96 points back from the last cutoff spot. I believe Eric said 96. I think that's correct. Eric from Switch or out of the group, not Switching Groups, out of the groups. I get those so backwards,
That's
but
funny because the name of this show was
it's
almost
yeah.
Outside Groove or Outer Groove. I forget what Richard
But I
was
want to make
leaning
sure I
towards,
give
but
Eric credit for that because that was a fact that I was unaware of. That Alex Bowman, his season is essentially done. All the chances of besting his career best, really, any goals they set this year are basically going to go out the window with this. With him not being able to race the next three races with vertigo, which is really unfortunate. I had high hopes for him to make a rebound because every year when he's got his back against the wall, he somehow manages to make it another year with winning or doing something, making the playoffs like he did. He managed to pull that off, and this year it's definitely put him at odds to not, somehow make it back, but definitely concerning. Another update from Vegas. Obviously, we talked about Denny Hamlin winning. Post race, during Denny Hamlin's post race interview, we had some extracurriculars on pit road. Ross Chastain and former teammate Daniel Suarez didn't get into a fistifight, but we're going to call it a shoving match. Words were exchanged in a shoving match, and it was broken up pretty quickly by a PR lady, which honestly, I was kind of waiting to see if Chastain was going to do the Noah Gragson to his old teammate, but we didn't get that opportunity, which I guess is a good thing.
no.
Suarez did state that it seemed that Ross Chastain and him had a weird, I believe it was weird relationship, and described it kind of as described Ross as kind of two faced, which I feel like my personal opinion on Daniel Suarez is he's kind of driven this season ever since the clash with a chip on his shoulder, which his wife kind of you know made that pretty abundantly clear that he was going to be driving like that. Based on her post on Facebook or post on social media, I forget what exactly it said, but it said something along the lines of, "Funny how changing teams, makes a big difference," which refers back to Suarez kind of making the statement of he felt like he was kind of getting the short end of the stick with his equipment and whatnot. And honestly, I feel like that's a pattern with him. At Joe Gibbs Racing, when he left, he made those statements about going to Stuart Haas. And then he was immediately replaced by Cole Custer. And then he went to Trackhouse, and he was their first driver. And then Ross Chastain came in, and everything kind of dropped off from there with Suarez. And now he's at Spire, and it kind of seems like he believes he got the short end of the stick when all these new drivers came in. Which honestly, and I'm going to be really honest with this, his performance really kind of was overshadowed by all this performance of Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain was the newer driver at the time and won more races. That's just me. But at the same time, you got to step up your game if you're going to compete in this. You can't just win one race, every he was with Trackhouse for 3-4 years, 5 years maybe, and
Something
won
like
I
that.
think 2 races. He won at a road course. He won at Atlanta, and I forget what the other one he won. He won a few different races, but it wasn't like notable, wins. It was like kind of just you won, woohoo! It took you, 5 years to get 3 wins.
So
Yeah,
let me let me back up here though.
go ahead.
The truck series has been on a brief break since that wild
I'm
street
getting to
racing,
that. I'm getting to that.
and
Getting there.
I know I won't spoil it. Hang on,
Okay.
but they've been on a brief break since the wild street race in St. Petersburg, but the off-track news has been explosive. The headline that has everyone talking is what you're gonna tell here in a few minutes.
I wasn't to that storyline yet.
I got
I had a little bit before that.
Yeah, I got it all set up in order. So,
well, I'm going to go through the next track and who else is not going to be at Darlington.
But it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you're moving on to O'Reilly.
I'm going to move on to Darlington real quick and give my paint schemes, and then we have late breaking story out of the NASCAR Truck Series. But for now, we're going to start with some of the paint schemes. It is officially, well, not officially through NASCAR, but it is Throwback Week. I have my throwback shirt on because it's the only one I can find at the moment. We do have a few throwback schemes this week. We have obviously our Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing doing tributes to Biffle. I forget who's in the 26 car this week, but they are also doing a tribute to Biffle, which is kind of cool. I'm trying to think of else. Ram is doing a few different throwbacks. One of the throwbacks that really caught my attention this week, and I think I sent it to Russ, is the whole inside joke about Carson Hocevar being the current Intimidator has officially come to a head, if you want to call it that. I don't know if it's going to be considered the Ricky Rudd car or the Dale Sr. car, but Carson Hocevar this week is going to run the Intimidator car. He's running a.
I think there is a huge difference between being an intimidator and being a pisser offer.
That is a very valid point. I couldn't help laugh at when they saw that because I saw it was rumored and I'm like, oh, this is going to be hilarious when they actually do it. And I still can't believe they are actually going to do it, but I think it's going to be great. I think a lot of people will buy the shirts, even though we don't have official throwback weekend anymore. I like that some teams are throwing it back. The only thing that is going to make this week even crazier than, NASCAR with JGR and, Chris Gabehart, which I'll deal with that story shortly. But we have, kind of off-brand throwback weekend. And other than Bowman not being at Darlington, we now know that Daniel Dye will no longer be at Darlington, as he has been indefinitely suspended from calling in NASCAR due to a, for lack of better terms, dumb and immature move on social media, for lack of better terms. I'm trying to get us not demonetized. For those who haven't seen yet, there was a clip going around on, I believe it was Reddit, where it was Brent Cruz, you had Daniel Dye, and I believe I saw something about Brent Cruz's father, I think was the third person in the video. And they were doing some sort of trading card opening, video on Whatnot, which for those who don't know, it's basically an online sales app, kind of like eBay or Amazon and whatnot. It's like an auction site. But the video shows them opening their cards, and the audio is, them opening these cards, and Daniel Dye is recounting an interaction between him and David Malukas from the IndyCar guy. I can never pronounce his name. But I guess there was some sort of interaction either at St. Petersburg, at Phoenix, where, Daniel Dye asked Malukas if they raced ovals. And, I guess Malukas's reaction kind of, took Dye by surprise. And he stated that they race at Nashville, they race at Iowa, and they race at Indy. And it was something along the lines of reaction from Daniel Dye of, I didn't know Miatas raced at, Indy, Nashville, and Iowa, which at the time he didn't know what Malukas drove. He just kind of knew that he didn't know if he raced IndyCar next, the Indy Next series, or if he raced Miatas, or really what it was. But the homophobic, for lack of better terms, reenactment of the conversation is what really got Daniel Dye in trouble. He kind of mocked Malukas with his voice of, I'm trying not to get us demonetized by using the words, but he basically mocked him and, made him sound really, really, really bad.
I'm gonna go ahead and just throw it out there.
I just don't want to get us demonetized for not knowing what to say.
Colleague dropped the hammer on Dye following a live stream incident where Dye was seen mocking IndyCar driver David Malukas using quote unquote homosexual / gay voices and for inferences that actually violated the member conduct policy. So Dye has apologized and he called his words careless, and he's been ordered to undergo sensitivity training before he can even think about getting back in a truck.
I'm trying to see if I could find the audio from it just so we can
But
put this out there, because it's very frustrating when you really look into it, because Daniel Dye runs basically a charity to prevent suicide, but yet
this was all on
it was live streamed. Like, it wasn't like
this was all on the
private event.
on the Whatnot app, auction app, and I don't know. But while you're looking, I'll go ahead and say what I feel like. This leaves that number 10 team in a serious bind as we head to the Buckle Up South Carolina at Darlington this Friday. And Chandler Smith is still your points leader by 34 over Ben Rhodes, but Darlington is the track that is too tough to tame. We also have to keep our eyes on Lane Riggs, because that St. Pete win actually proved that number 34 crew has the versatility to win on any layout, street or oval.
I'm still looking to see if I can find the actual video if they took it down. But I honestly, let's see.
Thank you, Jason. We appreciate that. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube, because Facebook actually deletes every video after a week now. So
I'm going to share Chuck's thing real quick, because that is a very, real thing that apparently people do not seem to realize nowadays. I was going to show Jason's that I didn't get that far. Let me go back and rewind this thing. For those who haven't heard the audio, I'm going to take my headset off so you can kind of hear it.
I don't know what the race or anything to like St. Pete promo and stuff, and he was on it. And I thought he was one of like the Indy Next guys or like the Miata guy or something. I really didn't know.
Sorry, Emma, he plays for the other team, I think.
And I was like, so what do you, do y'all race any ovals? And he was like, distraught that I asked him that question. Like, yeah, we raced Nashville and Iowa. Like, okay. I didn't know Miatas went to Nashville.
You're like, oh my gosh, yes, we race Indianapolis too. Love Indianapolis. And Roger Penske. I love Roger.
Love you, Roger. As soon as I start doing a David Malukas gay voice, I hit a gold. So let's keep it going. We're just gonna keep talking like this, like miss a gold. I'm on fire.
I mean, you want to talk about immature. You are in one of the most professional sports that there is, and you want to act like that. And did you notice at the beginning of that where someone said that I think he bats for the other team? Yes. So they were actually calling Malukas a homosexual.
I do want to defend Brent Cruzo, because I had not stated that part yet. You guys can't see that, obviously, because it was audio. But when that started, Brent Cruz got up and left the room because he did not want to be involved in that. Which, the saddest part about all that is Daniel Dye is 22 years old. Brent Cruz is way younger than him. I would expect, for lack of better terms, high school behavior from his age, not from somebody who's, even out of high school, already. Brent Cruz, I think, is more of the high school age. Daniel Dye should A, know better. B, he runs a charity about suicide, so he should be well aware of the sensitivities of that. And
To
on
be
top
honest
of
with
that,
you,
he is part of a brand new team that is still trying to develop, into eventually a Cup Series team, you would think. That is, if you were affiliated with, that name now, you're not going to want to sponsor them because of those comments. He literally, essentially just took down the entire team's chances of really performing well if they were to go Cup Series racing or if they were go to
I'll tell you this:
half the.
if you ask me my opinion, that is just as bad as when Kyle Larson let the N-word slip.
I'm going to share
And-
Jason's here because that is a very valid point. I didn't even think about that.
And if it were me, this guy would not even have a ride with my team anymore. He would no longer be a part of my team anymore. Now, I don't say that because I'm super sensitive about that. Whatever. It's the fact that the maturity level of it. And I don't want somebody with that type of immaturity representing my company.
I mean, on top of that, and Jason brought up a very good point because I completely forgot about him being related. Daniel Dye is also related to Richard Petty in that name. So not
don't
only
care.
did it really affect, Colleague and Ram, it now has put a smudge on the Petty name.
Exactly.
Like you had all those reasons not to do what you did, and yet you still went out and did that. So thank you, Jason, for bringing up that point because I had forgotten about that. He had driven the 44 car in the ARCA series, and that was the reason I did know about that. But
and that's the kind
I
of
can't
shit
even
that
wrap
I did.
my head around that.
I did that in high school, junior high, but at that age, I was married, I was grown up, I had a job, I had a wife to support. And
You've been out of high school for how many years? I could say that I've been out for 12 years now, and that's not something I would think to do. Like you have to be really, really, really dumb, to be, have all this sponsorship. You run a charity that kind of helps people in that situation where they're don't feel like they're welcome, so they go to harm themselves. You would think that would be something that you would kind of be prepared for to help prevent from it. I mean, on top of hurting your manufacturer, hurting your own charity that you brought as your sponsorship, you hurt your make, you hurt your team, you hurt your sponsor. You've now basically defiscated your family name or your relatives, for lack of better terms. That is probably the worst case scenario for you ever. You could have said anything in that moment.
Not to mention the fact that
you could have given him a
Malukas,
French accent or whatever, descendants he is.
that
Not
doesn't even matter.
a homophobic thing.
We're not even mentioning the fact that this could bring a potential lawsuit from Malukas for slander and defamation, etc.
I did see that he reached out to him, which I hope that doesn't. I hope that puts an end to it for Daniel Dye's sake. But honestly, I feel like I saw Jason wrote earlier about the half season or full season. I don't know if a full season is warranted, but I do feel like it should be a sensitivity training at minimum until he completes it. He is suspended. And even then, I feel like it should be more on top of that from Colleague.
Well,
I feel like it should be, a minimum from NASCAR until you complete the training. And then Colleague needs to take it upon themselves to suspend them until they are ready to bring them back.
That's where I'm going to disagree with you. I respect your opinion, but I'm going to disagree with you on that because Kyle Larson he just let the N-word slip one time, one slip, and he got fired from Ganassi and NASCAR suspended him for an entire year on top of him having to go to sensitivity training. So this was a whole long, a minute or two rant, and it was complete and utter bullshit.
I just mean at a minimum. I'm not saying that should be the final punishment. I think at a minimum Like if they
Minimum
give
a
like a
year.
slap on the wrist, that should be what it is.
I don't give a crap if he's Richard Petty's grandson or not.
Yeah.
When it comes to that none of that matters. It's the professionalism and it's the rules, and they need to put an actual set of rules in stone in their rule book for stuff like this.
I mean, I understand what you mean, and you and I are on the same page with this. I meant like the minimum punishment for this. Like if they were to punish him, the absolute minimum. I understand the Kyle Larson thing, but the minimum should be, and they can make it as long as they want. I honestly, feel like it should be longer than, until he completes the training. But I should feel like that training should be at least 5 months long. He should know better.
Do I believe he should never be allowed to race NASCAR again? No, but
no,
he needs to be punished.
Yeah, I don't feel like he should sit the rest of the year out. Well, I feel like that's a little extreme, but at the same time, I do feel like it wouldn't be out of the question.
Not when that is not extreme, considering how drivers get to where they are today.
Yeah,
it's not
and
like
honestly, that's borderline bullying too. If I'm not mistaken,
a lot of
like
them,
you singled out one person, didn't he?
Yeah,
like you singled out Lucas.
A lot of them bring the money with them, and that's how they get their damn ride anymore. It's not like they worked hard to get there. Then that warrants, maybe not as harsh or whatever we were just talking about. But now the way that they get to where they are by just having sponsorship or having money, they're spoiled. And this is the kind of shit that you get when these guys are spoiled like this.
Yes.
So, yes, the punishment needs to be harsh to teach them a lesson. Yeah, just because you are related to so-and-so or you have money or you have a sponsor behind you, we're not going to put up with this crap. That's just my opinion. I mean, I got 3 kids, and I don't like the bullying stuff. I teach my kids to defend themselves, and I do actually have homosexual friends and family. So, and they're actually some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. So,
I believe I have a few of them too. I believe there's a few, and they're not like, real close family members, but they are family members of mine that are homosexual. So I mean, I understand the punishment. I do feel like it is warranted to have a punishment. I guess it's up for debate on what it should be. I do feel like there is kind of a gray area when it comes to NASCAR's penalty on it, because obviously they gave Kyle Larson an entire year. Noah Gragson, I think he had one race he got suspended, or was it? It might have been multiple races when he did some sort of old post. If I'm not mistaken, there was something.
Yeah, he got in trouble for some kind
there's
of
a few of them out there that are kind of.
Yeah, it was a meme on Twitter or something that Gregson
I believe
shared,
it was something.
And
yeah,
he shared or commented on. No, he commented on somebody else's meme, and someone turned him in for it.
Yeah.
I remember we did a whole show
feel
on
like
that.
There's kind of a gray area, or not a gray. There's kind of an uneven scale on that, because you got obviously the Kyle Larson thing, you got the Noah Gragson thing. Now we have Daniel Dye as just 3 examples there. So I feel like there needs to be a precedent set, like you said. There needs to be something in the rule books about it, just to kind of set it in stone, because there really isn't a structure on the penalty, but they feel like there should be some sort of penalty there. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Haley Deegan did have something at one point, but she's really not. I don't feel like she's a great example, because she really didn't last very long to start with. Somehow she got another ARCA ride. She got another ARCA ride, and I still don't know how. Honestly, she was a little bit better than Danica, but not by much. And that's kind of frustrating to say, because, there's a whole lot of females in the sport now.
Well, how many races did Danica actually finish?
That's a great question. Someday that'll be a whole other episode. I'll look into that one. I do have one that I didn't put in my notes today, but I know you and I talked about this during the week. There was a report, because obviously we have NASCAR going on between JGR and Chris Gabehart. Obviously, I don't know how much of this we've covered prior, but JGR had a private investigator following Chris Gabehart around. This week they had one of their court hearings, and I forget if it was JGR or Spire. One of them tried to summon Rick Ware Racing, RCR, and Trackhouse. Now, here's what makes me laugh about all that is our previous conversation about, Trackhouse and Spire.
I've never seen Isabella, so I don't know.
Isabella Robusto I do feel like she's a whole lot better than Kaylee Deegan. I will give you that. I think she's only in ARCA so far, but she has already been more of a front runner than Haley Deegan and Danica. I will give you that.
Anyway,
I do know about Isabella. Anyway, sorry, Jason, I got distracted. I still laugh that they tried to bring Trackhouse and Spire together, along with RCR and Rick Ware, which they're all Chevy teams this year. But what doesn't quite understand is, yes, they're all the data is semi-relevant for everybody, but JGR is Toyota. I don't know if you can see my thumb. JGR is Toyota. The other three, or four technically,
Oh, you're all right, buddy. That's what this show is all about.
Trust me, Jason, I get distracted very easy like that.
Yeah, if you don't even have to say anything, Nathan will just go off track.
Yes,
anyway,
I'll go off track.
It doesn't matter.
What makes me laugh is they tried to summon those three extra teams, saying that I guess Chris Gabehart gave this information to those three teams, and supposedly their performance got better. What makes me laugh is I didn't even realize that there is a motor alliance difference between those teams. RCR helps Trackhouse with their motors. Spire get their motors from Hendrick. So we now see why Trackhouse has dropped off a cliff, because RCR has dropped off a cliff when it comes to performance, and why Spire has gotten better. What I don't quite understand is why, they're trying to drag these other three teams in when those three teams are not even part of the Motor Alliance. They just tried to bring them in. If I'm not mistaken, it was JGR. The problem is the Motor Alliance between, Trackhouse and the other three teams are not even the same package. They're literally two different alliances. Those three teams, there's no good way to put it. They suck. If I go back and look at the points right now, Spire is the highest out of all those teams. Because
is that how you really feel?
Would you like me to say anything else? Have we seen Kyle Busch win a race in the last, 2 years? Have we seen Austin Dillon consistently run up front other than the two Richmond incidents? Cody Ware, when has he ever been relevant at the front of the pack? Trackhouse, when they first started, who was the one who helped develop the next-gen car that all their performance was doing so good in? RCR. What two teams have dropped off a cliff since the next-gen car has first been introduced? RCR and Trackhouse. And you and I have had this conversation all week, is RCR developed this car. That's why they're so, they were so good to start with. Kyle Busch was winning races. Trackhouse won most of their wins in the early years of the next gen. It was good talking with you, Jason.
We appreciate that.
But it's just, those guys started out with this car. That's why they had the upper hand.
Hey,
all of a sudden.
Maybe able to bring you on sometime as a fan.
Maybe.
Sorry, Nathan.
You're good.
Yeah, well, I do want to do like a call-in show one day.
Someday we'll get that going. That might be an off-season thing where we talk about our, season predictions or whatnot. We'll get our teams or what our fan speculations or what they think. Well, it'd be nice to have that.
Just so Jason knows, Switchin Grooves will be at some dirt tracks doing shows while we're there. So if you're ever, I'm in Ohio, so If you're
I
ever in
believe he
Ohio
said he
at a
was
dirt
in.
race, he's in
I forget
Indiana.
where he said. Yeah, I forget where he said in Indiana. Oh, Fortville, Indiana.
Maybe when I go to Peru to visit my mom, he could stop by and see me.
I'm gonna share Chuck's thing because I really hope it happens. I would love to think RCR is going to get bought out by somebody because they are just in the way. Maybe it's just me, but they give me the same vibes as Rickware Racing, as back of the pack teams, which I guess you now understand who's got a better motor than the other. I don't know how RCR has lasted this long. They have almost become irrelevant in the Cup Series anymore, other than all the history. That's really all they have. Richard Childress is getting too old to really be any good. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have handed the reins over to Austin Dillon and Austin Dillon take over the team yet.
Well, if you
They're
remember
just
the
out there
lawsuit,
wasting money.
he was going to sell what, 45%, something like
Yeah.
that, 40%.
He was going to share a shareholder. I'm surprised they've lasted this long. I mean, when that news came out, I was kind of, relieved that maybe it might be over. The torture might be over for RCR. I mean, I feel bad for him. Like I was never a big RCR fan, but at the same time, you feel bad for, like almost sympathy for how bad they've been lately. Like Kyle Busch, in my opinion, deserves better. I'm sorry to say it, but he deserves better than what he got at JGR. He kind of did it to himself at Hendrick. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know who would want to drive for RCR. I mean, back to the penalty things. Jesse Love is about the only decent driver there. You got, all over the track Austin Hill. Who else do we have coming up through the ranks other than Cletus McFarland, whose YouTube sensation will promote him to the Cup Series? Like, I hate to rag on Cletus because, we are YouTubers, but at the same time, I honestly feel like I could have done better or got an Xfinity ride if that's the qualifications we need. If we only need to make 6 starts in NASCAR, heck, I could be on pit road 5 more times and I could drive an Xfinity car or an O'Reilly Auto Parts car. Like, come on.
I guess I could skip the O'Reilly's part of my notes here.
Oh, about Cletus?
No, yeah, it wasn't about Cletus, but.
Oh, yeah, Austin Hill, honestly, and if we're going to talk penalties, if somebody deserved to have the biggest penalty out of all of them, it was Austin Hill. I feel like he got a slap of the wrist last year, and I will stand on that till to the day I die. The dude is a menace on track. He is the intentional version of Danica Patrick. If you get in his way, he wrecks you. Danica, she just wrecked because she could wreck. I think they have about the same car count, except he wrecks him intentional and she just wrecks him because she can. Like, if we're going penalties, I don't feel like it should be qualified as the level I think Austin Hill should get, but I also don't feel like it should be a lifetime ban. Though Austin Hill, it's debatable if he deserves that. I think he deserves at least sensitivity training for the next 2 or 3 years if he's going to be an asshat. Yes, I have very harsh feelings towards Austin Hill. He is about the biggest bonehead I've ever met. Actually, I wouldn't say bonehead, meathead, because the dude's pretty muscular, but he got no brains left in there. Yeah, I said it. I can't help it. I mean, I do like JL Jr. I will give you that. I see your comment, Jason. I have nothing against JL Jr. I do feel like he has put out some very valid points about RCR. I still wish Teresa didn't exist, but we'll go with that some other day.
What do they call her?
The Wicked Witch of the South, I believe. Which, not very far off. Sorry. I'm trying not to get us demonetized with my opinions. But there is so many opinions out there that, I would love to share, that if I did, I'd get myself into just as much hot water as Daniel Dye. So I don't want to go down that route.
So
we have to have a filter.
Somewhat.
Yes,
So
somewhat.
we're getting down to the wire on time here, so I want to end this segment with all of the medical and internal updates that have come out.
A lot.
Alex Bowman, he's going to be out again.
For 3 races at least.
And who's in the car this week? Is it still Allgaier?
I think it's Allgaier for at least. I think Allgaier is at least in it this week. I don't know if they confirmed him for next week.
Now, Denny Hamlin's Vegas victory has now put him at 61 career victories, moving him to 10th on the all-time win list.
I believe that ties him with Harvick also.
Harvick has 62, I believe.
I thought they said they tied him.
I could be wrong.
I'm checking that real quick.
And the Daniel Dye suspension issued today is indefinite following his conduct violation. So
60. He actually passed Kevin Harvick.
Okay. Chastain and Suarez addressed their confrontation today, with Chastain citing a lack of accountability from Suarez in the closing laps of Vegas. And I don't know. It would have been a little more interesting if somebody would have gotten in the way.
Wait, what? I missed that part. I was looking up Kevin Harvick's stats.
Hey, we're about to close here in a minute anyway, Jason. So thanks for joining us, bud. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and we hope to see you again soon.
Before we close, I need to thank my sponsors for my upcoming race. Before we close, I do need to thank the guys who have helped me. If for those who haven't heard yet, I will be racing Millbridge this weekend.
Some other time, Dan.
Nice to meet you, Dan. Nice to meet you, Dan.
I was actually trying to get Chase to come on the show, the guy opening the Great Lakes back up. But
we might be able to get that for next week's episode. That'll be for next week. But I need to thank the people who are helping me. Helping me get this opportunity to go race at Millbridge. Gotta thank Switchin Grooves. Obviously, we are a nonprofit, but it gives me the opportunity to get my opinion out there. So we have Switchin Grooves on the cart this week. Big Dog RC has come on board for this week. Custom Racing Lubricants has helped me out with my oil and lubricants for the rear end of the cart. We've kind of gone through all that stuff. So I don't know if Chuck is still here, but Chuck is the person you'll want to go to for all your racing lubricants, whether it's motocross, go-karting, really anything with a motor he is pretty good with, I will say. Dietz Fabrication, I don't know if Tyler will see this, but Tyler came on board. He did a lot of welding for me this offseason, kind of fixed the cart up that we bought. And then I got to thank Purple Haze Racing with Steve Carmine. We're going down to see them this weekend to hopefully get this cart scaled up and ready to go. I'm definitely excited to go run at Millbridge. This will be the first time in a champ cart, and those guys definitely fly. This will be my first time racing a ghost motor, so I am kind of excited about it. And I got to thank Ashley. I know, but before I forget, I got to thank my crew chief, cheerleader, everything else. Got to thank her. For helping me out with all this stuff, helping me lift the cart while the stand was down, and lots of other stuff to help me. So she's going on a little vacation prior to all this, so I'm happy she gets some time to relax and enjoy herself before we, start the race season.
Well, I'm happy for you that you get to go do this, and
I got to represent Switchin Grooves. Got to make sure you don't need sensitivity training.
And go out there and stay safe, man.
Yes, I know.
So,
as we say on the show.
In conclusion, the events from the past week have established a new rhythm for the season. And going back to Ryan Blaney's victory at Phoenix proved that Team Penske has the tactical depth to overcome manufacturer speed gaps through aggressive strategy. Denny Hamlin's win in Las Vegas signals the return of a championship caliber number 11 team, while the struggles of Tyler Reddick suggest that Toyota and the TRD package may have vulnerabilities on flatter ovals. In the dirt world, the resilience of David Gravel and the successful launch of the high-limit racing season actually indicate that 2026 will be a year of high risk, high reward performance. As the series heads to Darlington, the focus shifts to internal team discipline and managing the health of the sport's top stars. Any final thoughts, Nathan?
Not really. I think I got my stuff out this week. I'm kind of mellowed out. I don't really have anything else to get excited about. It's a first for me, I think.
Well, if not, remember, we bring you race recaps, professional breakdowns, and all those insane adrenaline-packed moments every week. Whether you live for those sideways, mudslinging dirt track sliders, or the door-banging, paint-trading action in NASCAR, you belong right here. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss a finish. And until next time, keep switching grooves. I'm Russ Fritz.
And I'm Nathan Johns.
And we're saying race hard.
Stay safe.
And we'll see you there. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.